bro, they're trying to rebuild. I wouldn't do that if I were you guys, bro. I'm going to be honest here. I'm just outsider here. Random dude on the internet with headphones on. Listen, bro, do not rebuild Fordo. Trump is still looking at you. All right, so let's just start right there. Don't do that. That's bad news. But let's go ahead and jump into this video immediately. This is a suggestion via channel member. Let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Let's do it.
New satellite images taken in the days after the U.S. strikes in Iran show new activity at the site of one of the attacks. New access roads, construction equipment, and vehicles have been seen at the Fordo nuclear site. That is the one the president insisted was obliterated. Joining us
now, we can see you, right?
Now, staff writer for The Atlantic, Michael Shearer, and Rick Stengel, who's still with us. Rick, can we put that much stock into access roads and trucks and engagement with that site from satellite images?
Yes.
You can't really, but it's
yes
useful to see it. I mean, the problem, Katie, is the word obliterated, which was used by the president.
Okay.
A more reasonable person would have said, this was a very successful mission. We've destroyed a lot of what we were seeking to destroy. The accuracy was, unimpeachable. We will now do a battlefield assessment to find out.
Oh, so basically they don't like the fact that Trump stated a word and the word in itself offended a whole gigantic swath of people. That's what he's saying here? Okay, well, whatever.
Unimpeachable. We will now do a battlefield assessment to find out what has really been accomplished. I mean, nobody ever beforehand said we're going to completely obliterate their nuclear threat. I mean, there was a lot of reporting by the IAEA that small amounts of enriched uranium in tubes were transported before the bombing.
I figured that.
Again, a reasonable president would say, we did an excellent job under the circumstances. There's still some things that escaped our notice. That is now something that we will negotiate over, but we put way off their ability to produce a nuclear device.
All right, so...
Okay, so basically, oddly, this man here is completely confused how there are some men who speak like this, let's say. All right, so that's kind of the gist of the statement here. Like, listen, bro, he said what he said. It seems like he is more offended with kind of how he said it, let's say, than exactly the definition of the terms that were used. He's just offended by words, guys.
There's no real time frame, Michael, on talks with Iran in order to get somewhere diplomatically after these strikes. And it's being complicated by some reporting that you've been doing, and that is the looming threat of assassination. Donald Trump is living with this looming threat of assassination from Iran. The Washington Post reports that Iran nearly succeeded in orchestrating an assassination of Mike Pompeo in Europe in 2022. So it's a real thing.
Well, obviously it is.
That's right. And we've kind of gotten used to it at this point, which is a real contrast from how it used to be. If you remember back in the early 90s, George H.W. Bush went to Kuwait and there was an assassination attempt on him by what the U.S. government later identified as Iraqi intelligence services. And Bill Clinton, the president that followed George H.W. Bush, ordered missile strikes in Iraq in response to that. Just the attempt. It wasn't successful. The bomb never went off. In this case, Trump and a number of other former U.S. officials have been the targets of Iranian assassination plots for years, ever since the Soleimani assassination during Trump's first term.
But do you know any other word than that? Because YouTube hates that word.
The Iranian leaders have spoken openly about wanting this. They've had a number of people, according to indictments, sort of concoct kind of harebrained schemes. They're not very, very sophisticated schemes of sending people over to the U.S. or having people operate from overseas to recruit local criminals to come up with plans to assassinate the president. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton, the former Secretary of State, and President Trump, the Friday before he launched these attacks, the day before he launched these attacks, he was on the tarmac up in New Jersey, and he made reference to them. He told the reporters with him, "You're in danger even right now." So this is an ever-present thing. Now, what the White House says and what his advisors say is that the threat against the president did not factor in this decision, that this decision was made only because of the nuclear sites. But the reality of having to live with this threat is something that has clearly taken a toll on those
Yeah,
around.
I wonder, though, does it also factor into negotiations? Michael
Is he there?
Michael Schott just froze. All right. The other question I wanted to ask you, Rick, was on the visit from Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House next week. The war in Gaza is ongoing. The suffering there is unimaginable. It's awful. We're seeing it every day on our social media feeds. A lot of op-eds right now are urging the Israelis to wind it down, warning that their reputation and Jews around the world will be irreparably harmed because of this war. Do we have a sense of what the White House wants to do in terms of pressing Netanyahu to end this?
It does seem like, I don't want to speak for the White House or President Trump, but
You cannot. Not you.
it does feel like there is a kind of unified field theory of how to solve the Middle East problems, that now that Iran has been pushed away from closeness to a nuclear weapon instigated by the Israelis, that should give the Israelis some sense of safety that they don't have. I mean, the Iranian surrogates
That's valid.
have been diminished, Hamas, Lebanon. So now Trump seems to be pressing for the Israelis to say, let's halt this. Let's make a deal. Let's get back to the Abraham Accords and have the Gulf nations come and make deals with you. That would be a great thing.
What sort of pressure?
Yeah, guys, the interesting thing about that statement is that I think it's absolutely true. Like, listen, so now without Iran being a major player specifically in that region, most likely not being able to afford large scale, let's say, any of their proxies, large scale, the smartest thing to do is not consistently go after Gaza, bro. Right? Because now, do you know what you look like? You look crazy now. I'm telling you. Like, if you continue pummeling, okay, the little guy for the most part over there, your cause, the last 100 years or so, guy, last 80 years, like, I'm telling you, bro, you look crazy out here. All right. I've been saying kind of something similar kind of for a while, like, bro, enough, okay? Enough, bro. It's too much now. All right. You can't keep the little guy is there. I get it. You guys have border walls and do all these things here. Just you're making yourself look crazy if you consistently go after the little guy, guys. All right. But either way,
Should he be putting on Netanyahu?
Well, I think he should be, to end the war in Gaza. It's a catastrophic, unimaginable tragedy and disaster. There's no winning it the way that, you would obliterate nuclear weapons in Iran, that you're creating new members of Hamas that are 10, 12 years old.
that's a fact.
Let's get back to negotiations. And I do think, I know I sound like an old-fashioned person here, but the problem is now that without a two-state solution, you're not going to get everybody to the table. Again, I've always thought, they used to say this about the Palestinians. They never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. I would say that about Bibi Netanyahu. He had so many opportunities to make a deal with the Palestinians.
He doesn't want to make a deal with that. And this is just an outsider looking in. There is no deal that is trying to be made coming from his perspective. It doesn't seem like it, like at all. It just doesn't. I've never been a super fan of the man, so I don't know. Maybe I'm biased in the context here, but I don't think he's looking for one. He just doesn't want them to exist right there.
Set up a state that Israel could live with, and have a democracy, and have the Palestinians have some independence. I would say he has that opportunity again now.
Can anything happen, though, with him? Can he get anywhere? Does he have? Are there any other Arab nations that have the desire to negotiate with him? Is there any Palestinian leader that would have the desire to negotiate with him? I mean, he's not going to negotiate with Hamas, and rightly so.
Absolutely
but,
not.
I mean, how do you get anywhere?
Never.
When he is still in charge?
Well, that's a good question. I do think that the Gulf states, the Saudis, the Emiratis, they would continue to talk to Netanyahu. I think they probably are still talking. Does that mean Netanyahu could change the last 25 years of him being opposed to a two-state solution? I don't know. Would it take a new Israeli leader? I mean, his popularity has gone up with the bombing of Iran, but it's still very low. He probably wouldn't win a re-election. And of course, remember, the parties united with him are these very, very conservative Orthodox parties that are against, even mentioning the Palestinians.
I've been saying that. Interesting. But let's not get into that on the internet, guys, right? So, guys, listen. This is a wild one. The fact that that Iran is starting to kind of rebuild that region, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, it's their country, right? But just understand, guys, we see you. So, if I were you, I would wait a little bit. Just wait a little bit, okay? Because if the satellite starts seeing heavy machinery rebuilding, going into tunnels and all these other things, it's not going to be beneficial to any of the individuals who actually do that, right? Now, in terms of Netanyahu specifically, he's an interesting individual. Again, I just want to kind of reiterate the point here. I've never been a super fan of the man. I have no problem. I'm not someone who says, places should not exist. It's not a thing here. But for all of the things that have historically happened to this group of people here, the last thing that needs to happen, let's say, is they start being looked at as the people who did the things to them. All right. And I kind of want to go ahead and point that out. Let's, the little guy, Hamas, we're not having that conversation. That's get rid of them, bro. Right. But there's a lot of people who have nothing to do with that in the first place. Okay. So these are people trying to live their lives, basically. I'd rather the individuals head to, if you want to kind of get them out of your country type of thing, right? If that's your end game, broker some type of deal with Egypt, right? And let's see where that can go. And maybe the people can, go somewhere else. If that's the case, I'd rather that happen than an entire group of people being, put in the situation that some other people have historically been put in. So let's just not allow that to happen like that. So, but either way, let's just see where this takes us, guys. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. In the meantime, I'll catch you guys later.